As you may or may not know, for the past while, I've been working as a postman slash delivery driver. And I am planning, or actually, I am changing jobs back to a lifeguard soon that will allow me more hours for my mission. But that's not the point here. The point is that I've learned a big lesson from my job as a postman slash delivery driver. And let me give you some context. So, what this job consists of or entails is that I go down to the office in the morning, as does everyone else, and what you do then is you sort all your parcels and mail, and then you put them in your van for driving around and delivering it all. And the point is that you can easily, if you really wanted to, just, throw everything in your van and just get out there as soon as possible. And realistically, that's what, all the new people want to do, and I'm relatively new, even though I'm leaving soon. And I didn't feel this pull so much, but maybe just slightly, I didn't want to feel super slow or late. But I'm sure, especially most of us, because I say most of us, because this applies not to just this job, but to life in general, most of us just want to get out there as soon as possible, We don't want to look slow, we don't want to look behind, we just want to be quick. And if we look around and we see that we're the ones that are behind and we're slow, then we feel worse than others. But my lesson here is that you being behind or looking slow does not mean you actually are worse at all. In fact, you may be far better off. And let me explain. So the thing is that if you just, throw all your parcels in the van and all your mail without organizing any of it, then realistically, when you're out there, it's going to take you, when you're out there, by that I mean, out actually delivering it all, it's going to take you twice as long to do that because nothing is organized and you're having to just, scramble through it all looking for the next package. And the worst thing is when you get, somewhere, let's say to the 5th Street, but then you realize by the end of your round that you still have a parcel that you forgot that you were meant to deliver near the beginning. And then that all ends up taking so much more time than if you were just to slow down and properly organize everything in the beginning. And there's a great quote from Abraham Lincoln that really nicely encapsulates this. He says, and I will paraphrase him because it may not be perfect, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend 4 of them sharpening my axe." So basically, that does not actually mean here in this example, spend most of your time in the office perfectly sorting the parcels. It just means if you do seem to be behind and slower than everyone else, do not worry. Focus on yourself and focus on doing your thing well. That's the advice I would give to my younger self because this is just the lesson I've learned from this job. And I'm really grateful that I've learned this lesson despite how short a time I've been working there. And there's another quote which I thought was a real quote, but apparently I just made it up, that goes like this. Preparation without action is just procrastination, but action without preparation is just ruination. So basically, of course, if you spend all your time planning and preparing, but then don't take action, like many of us end up doing, then that is just procrastination. But equally as bad, if you take action without preparing at all, then you're probably not much better off. Okay, maybe a little bit better off, but not nearly as well off as you would be if you had prepared, of course. And I know I keep bringing up quotes, but I promise this is the last one. Dwight Eisenhower said, "Plans are nothing, but planning is everything." And the point here is that when you create a plan, or because we're on the topic of preparation or planning, if you create a plan, then ideally you want to plan for things not to go according to plan. The whole point of a plan isn't the plan itself, but the action of planning. Because by creating the plan, you think things through, and by doing so, you may end up noticing all the holes in the wall. And you may still not be able to figure out the perfect plan. You may not know exactly how everything is going to go, because certainty is an illusion. But what really matters is the fact that you have thought everything through. And then, let's take the example of military battle, because that seems like the most relevant example here. You're not gonna know exactly what's gonna happen. You can't just plan everything perfectly, of course. But the whole point is that by planning, by going through the action of creating the plan, you think things through, and then you can think like a chess player or a military leader or a general. So yes, I'm gonna leave it here. That's the lesson for today. Do not worry if you look around and you're worse. Okay, one last example actually that just came to my mind. For example, if I look around and compare myself to most of my friends, or some of my friends at least, many of them are working a job and by now are making a decent income. They're not rich or anything, but they're driving around fun cars or having fun, in their cars, and they have this and that. And yet here I am with no car because I sold my car for money, and also I didn't need it, but for money mainly. And I've gotten a minimum wage job now recently to earn an income to contribute to my family and invest in myself. And if I were really to compare myself to those people, I seem behind because I'm making a lot less money than them. But then again, if that's you in that scenario, are you really behind? Because first of all, in my opinion, what really matters isn't rushing out there, like in the postman example, rushing out there and making as much money as possible, as early as possible, but rather building a solid foundation and, in fact, just spending all your life learning. Not even chasing money ever, to be honest, but at least not initially, at the very least. Just learning. That's the most important thing for me. Learning and creating. And so, because of that, because most other people measure success in status or money or whatever it be, to them, they would say I'm behind. But I don't care. And I said first of all because now, second of all, obviously what really matters isn't comparing yourself to others, but rather just comparing yourself to who you were yesterday and getting better each day. That's all that matters, of course. But now I will really leave it here. As always, I wish you all the best. Go out there and do incredible things. And until next time, be mega. Ciao.